I want you to picture a moment that might feel familiar to you. It is late at night. The house is quiet. The world outside has finally stopped moving, and you are lying in bed next to him. You can hear the rhythm of his breathing. You can feel the warmth radiating from his skin. Physically, he is right there. He is less than 6 inches away from you. But emotionally, he feels like he is on a different planet. You might reach out and brush his arm, or maybe you rest your hand on his back, hoping for a spark, hoping for him to turn toward you and really see you. But instead, he just shifts, he sighs, he keeps staring at the ceiling, or worse, he scrolls through his phone, lost in a world that doesn't include you. And in that silence, a question starts to rise in your chest. It's a heavy, uncomfortable question that most of us are too afraid to say out loud. Does he still crave me? Or have we just become roommates who share a bed? If you have ever felt that subtle, aching disconnect, I want you to know that you are not alone. And more importantly, I want you to know that it is not your fault. We are often taught that if a man pulls away, or if the passion fades, it's because we aren't doing enough. We think we need to be louder, flashier, or learn complicated tricks in the bedroom to get his attention back. We think we need to change our bodies or change our personalities. But the truth is much simpler and also much more profound. The disconnect isn't happening because you aren't enough. The disconnect is happening because you are speaking a different language than he is. You are speaking the language of connection, and he is likely stuck in the language of stress, survival, and expectation. Most women underestimate the power of their own touch. We tend to think of touch as something we do to someone. We scratch a back, we rub a shoulder, we hold a hand, but to the male brain, touch is not just a physical sensation. It is a communication signal. It is a code. And unfortunately, most of us are using the wrong codes. We are touching him in ways that signal friendship or mothering or routine, or we are touching him in ways that signal demand, making him feel like he needs to perform for us. But there are secret overrides in the male nervous system. There are specific places on his body that, when touched in a specific way, bypass his logical brain and speak directly to his primal emotional core. In this video, we're going to explore 3 places every man wants you to touch. These are not the places you are thinking of. We aren't talking about the obvious erogenous zones that every magazine article lists. We're talking about the psychological trigger points that make a man feel seen, safe, and deeply possessed by you. When you touch these 3 spots, you aren't just creating physical pleasure, you are creating emotional addiction. You are turning off the noise of the world and forcing his entire being to focus on you. But before I can reveal these 3 locations, we have to understand something critical. Knowing where to touch is useless if you don't understand the environment you are touching. You cannot plant a flower in concrete and expect it to grow. You have to prepare the soil. You have to understand the landscape of his mind. Why does he pull away? Why does he seem armored? Why is it that sometimes, even when you hug him, he feels stiff? To answer that, we have to look at the silent epidemic that almost every man in your life is suffering from, usually without even knowing it. It is a biological condition that creates a wall between his heart and your hand. Once you understand this, everything changes. Once you understand the why, the how becomes effortless. So let's strip away the confusion. Let's stop guessing. Let's step into his mind and unlock the biology of his desire, because the man lying next to you isn't bored. He is starving. He is waiting for a signal that only you can send. And the moment you send it, the distance between you will vanish. The science of skin hunger. To understand why these 3 specific touches are so powerful, we first have to acknowledge a harsh reality about the male experience. Most men are living in a touch desert. Psychologists call this skin hunger or touch starvation. In our culture, women are generally encouraged to be tactile. From childhood, girls hug their friends, they link arms, they sit close to one another on the couch. Women receive platonic affectionate touch constantly throughout their lives. It nourishes your nervous system. It keeps your oxytocin levels, the bonding hormone, steady. But for men, the story is very different. From the time a boy is old enough to walk, he is often socialized to stop seeking physical comfort. He is taught that being tough means being physically autonomous. He stops holding hands with his friends. He stops sitting in laps. He stops receiving casual affection. As he grows into a man, his world becomes physically isolated. The only socially acceptable time for a man to be touched, held, or caressed is during sex. Think about the implications of that for a moment. It is profound. For many men, touch becomes exclusively linked to performance. If a woman touches him, his brain immediately calculates, is this leading to sex? Do I need to be ready? Do I need to perform? This is why he might seem stiff when you hug him unexpectedly. It's why he might pull away when you try to cuddle while he's working. It's not because he doesn't want you. It's because his brain has been conditioned to view touch as a transaction. He thinks you want something from him. He thinks the touch comes with a price tag of energy performance that he might not have in that moment. This is the tragedy of the modern man. He is starving for connection, but he has built a fortress to protect himself from the expectation of performance. He is walking around with a deep, biological hunger for skin to skin contact that has nothing to do with intercourse and everything to do with safety. This is where you come in. You have the power to break this association. But you can only do it if you understand that the goal of touching him in these 3 secret places is not to initiate sex, at least not at first. The goal is to feed his skin hunger without triggering his performance anxiety. When you can touch a man in a way that says, I want nothing from you right now. I just want to be with you. You confuse his defense mechanisms. You bypass the guard at the gate. You slip past the armor. The 3 places we are going to discuss are specifically chosen because they are areas of high vulnerability. They are areas that biologically a man protects. When you touch them, you aren't just stimulating nerve endings. You are signaling to his amygdala, the fear center of his brain, that he is safe. You are giving him water in the desert. And when a man finds a source of water in the desert, he doesn't just appreciate it. He guards it. He cherishes it. He keeps coming back to it. But, and this is a very big but, you cannot just jab at these spots and expect magic. The location is the map, but your hand is the vehicle. If you drive recklessly, you will crash. If you approach these sensitive areas with nervous, jittery, or demanding energy, he will flinch, he will close up. Before we put your hands on him, we have to train your hands. We have to discuss the quality of the touch itself. We need to upgrade your touch software from a nervous flutter to a magnetic anchor, because the difference between him leaning in and him pulling away often comes down to a matter of millimeters and milliseconds. The feather vs anchor principle. Have you ever had someone touch you in a way that made you feel annoyed or anxious, even if they were trying to be nice? Maybe their hand was too light, like a spider walking on your skin. Maybe their rhythm was frantic, too fast, or inconsistent. Instead of relaxing you, it made your shoulders tense up. You found yourself wishing they would just stop. That is what I call feather energy. When women are nervous or when they are seeking validation, they often default to feather energy. Feather energy is tentative. It hovers, it tickles, it moves quickly from one spot to another, never settling. It asks a silent question, is this okay? Do you like this? Please like this. While this might seem gentle to you, to a man, feather energy feels like insecurity. It feels chaotic because his skin is thicker than yours, literally biologically thicker, very light. Fluttering touches can actually feel irritating rather than pleasurable. They tickle the surface nerves without penetrating to the muscle and fascia underneath. Stimulate his alert system rather than his rest system. If you touch these 3 secret places with feather energy, you will fail. He will tickle, he will flinch, or he will gently remove your hand. To access the deep psychology of desire, you must master the opposite, the anchor. The anchor is exactly what it sounds like. It is heavy, it is grounded. It is still. When an anchor drops, it doesn't float around, it sinks. It claims its spot at the bottom of the ocean, and it holds the ship steady no matter how rough the waves are. This is how I want you to visualize your hands from this moment forward. Before you touch him, I want you to relax your own shoulders. Take a breath into your belly. And when you make contact with his body, do not just use your fingertips. Use the full surface of your palm. Imagine your hand is warm, heavy, and made of lead. When you land on his skin, you don't rub immediately. You don't scratch, you just land. You apply a firm, consistent pressure. You are telling his nervous system, I am here. I am not going anywhere. I am solid. This type of touch triggers a completely different biological response called down regulation. It slows his heart rate. It deepens his breathing. It signals to his brain that a confident, safe presence is with him. Think about the difference in energy. A feather asks permission. An anchor provides stability. Men are exhausted by the world. They are exhausted by decision making, by leading, by protecting. They are exhausted by the constant need to be on. When you touch him with anchor energy, you are offering him a rare moment where he doesn't have to hold himself up. You are holding him. This is the foundation of energy transfer. You are transferring your calm into his chaos. So as we move next and I reveal the first location, I want you to make a pact with yourself. You are going to slow down. You are going to stop fluttering. You are going to trust that your touch is powerful enough to just be there. You don't need to do fancy massage techniques. You don't need to know acupressure. You just need to know how to be an anchor. The first place we are going to explore is the center of his emotional armor. It is a place most women avoid because it seems unromantic, or perhaps because it feels too vulnerable. But it is the key to unlocking his chest. This is the place where he holds his shield. And if you can place an anchor here, you can melt that shield in seconds. Are you ready to learn where it is? Place fight 1, the shield breaker, the armor he wears. We are going to start in the center. When you look at a man, what is the most prominent part of his silhouette? It is his chest, his shoulders, the breadth of his torso. Biologically and historically, this is his shield. If you think about the history of warfare, or even just watch 2 men in a heated argument at a bar, what do? They puff out their chests, they square up. They present this part of their body as a wall. It is the first line of defense. It is where they absorb the impact of the world. And because of this, the center of a man's chest, specifically the area right in the middle of the sternum known as the solar plexus, is often the most armored place on his body. I want you to think about the man in your life right now. Maybe he is the strong, silent type. Maybe he comes home from work and you can visibly see the weight of the day sitting on his shoulders. He might not complain. He might not tell you he is stressed, but his body tells the truth. His posture is rigid. His breathing is shallow, stuck high in his throat. He is holding his shield up. Most women instinctively shy away from this area when a man is in that state. Or if they do touch it, they do it in a way that accidentally reinforces his defense. Think about how you usually touch his chest. Maybe you poke him there when you are playful or annoyed. Poke, poke. Are you listening to me? Maybe you lean your head against his chest when you are watching a movie. Now, leaning on him is beautiful, it is intimate. But psychologically, when you lean on him, you are taking support. You are asking his shield to hold you up. And while a man loves to support his woman, if he is already exhausted, if his battery is at 1%, having to be a human pillow can sometimes feel like just another job. It creates a subtle pressure for him to remain strong, to remain rigid, so you don't fall. But what if you reverse that dynamic? What if instead of asking his chest to support you, you used your touch to tell his chest that it could finally collapse? This is why the solar plexus is our first secret location. It is the shield breaker. This area sits right between the pectoral muscles, just below the collarbones, but above the stomach. In Eastern traditions, this is the center of personal power and ego. In Western biology, it is a massive cluster of nerves that sits right on top of the diaphragm. When a man is stressed, this area locks up. It becomes a knot of tension. He literally stops breathing deeply into this space to protect himself. If you can learn to touch this spot correctly, you are doing something he likely hasn't experienced since he was a small child being held by his mother. You are giving him permission to put the shield down. You are telling him without words, I am not here to lean on you. I am here to cover you. To a man who spends 12 hours a day fighting psychological battles at work, feeling the warm, heavy weight of a woman's hand covering his vulnerable heart center is overwhelming. It is disarming in the most beautiful way. But remember the rule, you cannot approach a shield with a feather. A feather feels like a threat. A feather feels like an insect. If you tickle his chest, he will swat you away. You need to approach his armor with the intention of melting it. You need to be the heat that softens the metal. So how do you do this? How do you touch the most guarded part of a man without making him flinch? How do you turn a defensive wall into a doorway for connection? It requires a very specific technique. It requires timing, temperature, and breath. Let's walk through it step by step. Heart anchor technique. I want you to visualize this with me. Close your eyes for a moment if you need to. Imagine you are lying in bed. The lights are off. He is lying on his back. Maybe he is staring at the ceiling or his eyes are closed, but you can feel that low level hum of tension in his body. He isn't asleep yet. He's just processing. This is your moment. Step one, the preparation. Before you reach out, check your own hands. Are they cold? A cold hand on a warm chest is a shock. It wakes the nervous system up. We want to put the nervous system to sleep. If your hands are cold, rub them together under the covers. Create friction, create heat. You want your palm to feel like a warm compress. Step two, the approach. Move your hand towards the center of his chest. Do not use your fingertips. I repeat, do not use your fingertips. Fingertips are for exploration. Palms are for claiming. I want you to flatten your hand completely. Keep your fingers together, not spread apart. A spread hand feels frantic. A closed hand feels solid. Step three, the landing. Place the center of your palm directly over his sternum, that flat bone right in the center of his chest between the pectoral muscles. Do not hover. Do not hesitate. Land with intention. Imagine your hand is heavy, not heavy enough to crush him or make it hard to breathe, but heavy enough that he undoubtedly feels the weight of it. Now, and this is the most critical part, the part 90% of women get wrong, freeze. Do not rub, do not make circles, do not stroke up and down, just hold still. Why? When you rub, you create friction. Friction generates electricity and static. It stimulates the skin receptors to say something is moving. Pay attention. It keeps his brain active. But when you hold completely still, you create a sensation of containment. Think about a weighted blanket. Why are weighted blankets so soothing for anxiety? Because the consistent non-moving pressure signals the brain that the body is safe. It creates a boundary. Be the weighted blanket for his heart. Hold your warm palm there. Count to 10 in your head. 1, 2, 3. At first, he might not react. He might even tense up slightly, wondering what you are doing. Stay there. Maintain the pressure. You are the anchor. You do not move with the waves. The waves break around you. Step forward, the breath sink. Now that your hand is anchored on his solar plexus, you are going to do something very subtle. You are going to feel his breathing through your palm, feel his chest rise and fall, rise and fall. I want you to start matching your breathing to his. Inhale when he inhales, exhale when he exhales. Once you are sensed, I want you to start slowing down. Deepen your exhale. Make it 1 second longer than his, because you are touching him and because your nervous systems are now communicating through that point of contact. A biological phenomenon called entrainment will start to happen. His body will subconsciously start to match yours. You will feel his breathing slow down under your hand. You might hear a heavy sigh escape his lips, that sigh. That is the sound of the armor falling off. That is the sound of his cortisol levels dropping. Step 5, the expansion. Once you feel him relax, you can very slightly spread your fingers wider, covering more surface area like a starfish slowly opening on a rock. This maximizes the skin-to-skin contact. Keep your hand there for as long as it feels natural. Maybe 30 seconds, maybe 5 minutes. In this position, you are literally covering his heart. You are protecting the protector. You are saying nothing, but your hand is screaming a message to his primal brain. It is saying, I have you. You don't have to be strong right now. You can just be. This technique, the heart anchor, is deceptively simple. You might be thinking, is that it? I just put my hand on his chest. Yes, but the magic isn't in the action. It is in the stillness of the action. In a world that is constantly demanding things from him, his boss, the bills, the kids, the news, your hand is the only thing that is touching him without asking for anything. You aren't grabbing. You aren't rubbing, you are just giving presence. This is a profound energetic shift. And when you do this, you will notice something change in the dynamic of the room. The air will feel heavier, thicker, more intimate, because you haven't just touched a body part, you have touched the control center of his emotions. But why does this work so effectively? Why does this specific spot make a grown man melt? To understand that, we have to look at the psychology of the burden, the psychological shift. Let's go deeper. Let's talk about what is happening inside his head while your hand is resting on his chest. Every man, no matter how confident or successful he appears, carries an invisible backpack. Inside that backpack are his fears, the fear of failure, the fear of not being a good enough provider, the fear of weakness, the pressure to figure everything out. Society tells men that they must carry this backpack alone. They are told that sharing the weight makes them weak. So they tighten their chests. They shallow their breathing. They brace themselves against the weight. When you perform the heart anchor technique, you are essentially slipping your hand underneath the straps of that backpack and lifting it up for a moment. Biologically, the solar plexus is connected to the vagus nerve. This is the longest nerve in the body, running from the brainstem all the way down to the abdomen. It is the superhighway of the nervous system. It controls the fight or flight response and the rest and digest response. When a man is stressed, his vagus nerve is vibrating with fight or flight. Applying firm, warm, static pressure to the center of the chest stimulates the vagus nerve to switch gears. It physically forces his body into rest and digest mode. It is a biological override button, but psychologically the impact is even greater. For a man, the feeling of safety is different than it is for a woman. For many women, safety feels like being held, being surrounded. For a man, safety feels like unburdening. Safety is the absence of demand. When you touch him here and you don't ask for sex and you don't ask for a conversation, you become a sanctuary. Think about that word, sanctuary. A sanctuary is a place you go to escape the war. It is a place where no one can hurt you. If you can make your touch feel like a sanctuary, you become the most addictive substance in his life. He will start to crave your touch, not just because it feels good physically, but because it is the only time his brain actually turns off. You will notice if you do this consistently, that he starts seeking it out. He might come over to you while you are sitting on the couch and just stand in front of you waiting. He might grab your hand while you are sleeping and pull it onto his chest. He is trying to get back to the quiet. This is how you build a bond that goes beyond the superficial. A lot of women worry about their looks. They worry, am I pretty enough? Am I young enough? But beauty fades. What doesn't fade is the feeling of peace. If you are the woman who brings him peace, you are irreplaceable. And there is another layer to this. By placing your hand on his chest, you are claiming him in body language psychology. Covering the vital organs of another person is a high trust, high status behavior. It shows that you are confident enough to enter his personal space. You are not asking, can I come in? You are saying, I am here. That subtle shift in confidence is incredibly attractive to men. It shows a feminine strength that balances his masculine armor. It shows that you are not intimidated by his walls. You know how to walk right through them. So tonight, try it when the day is done and the armor is heavy, be the anchor. Find that spot in the center of his chest. Apply the heat, hold the stillness, and watch him melt. But once you have melted the shield, what comes next? Once he is calm, once he is open, and once he feels safe, he is ready to be truly seen. Now that the armor is down, we have access to the second location. This next place is much more intimate. It requires more courage. It is the place where you stop being a sanctuary and start being his lover. It is the place that turns safe into dangerous in the best possible way. Place Fei 2, the vulnerability trigger. The most intimidating space, we have melted the shield. His breathing has slowed, his chest is open. He is lying there, perhaps for the first time in weeks, completely unguarded. Now, we must move the energy upwards. We are going to travel from the center of his body to the center of his identity. We are going to talk about the face. For many women, this is the most intimidating place to touch. It feels safer to touch his chest, his back, or his arms. Why? Because you can touch those places while lying next to him, staring at the ceiling. You can touch those places in the dark. You can touch those places without having to confront him. Touching a man's face is different. It requires proximity. It requires you to be right there. In his personal space, breathing his air, it requires you to look at him, and more terrifyingly, it forces him to look at you. There is a reason why, when we feel insecure or ashamed, we hide our faces. The face is the billboard of the soul. It is where we show our emotions, but is also where we hide them. Think about the man in your life. What does he do with his face all day? He wears a mask. When he walks into a meeting, he wears the competent professional mask. When he deals with a crisis, he wears the stoic problem solver mask. Even with his friends, he might wear the joking carefree guy mask. He spends his entire life manipulating the muscles in his face to project an image of strength, control, and indifference. He smiles when he isn't happy. He keeps a straight face when he wants to cry. He clenches his jaw when he wants to scream. His face is not just skin and bone, it is a stage performance. This is why touching his face is so incredibly powerful and so incredibly scary. When you reach out to touch his face, you are asking for permission to interrupt the performance. You are asking him to take the mask off. You are saying, I don't want the employee. I don't want the father. I don't want the tough guy. I want the human underneath. Is a high-stakes request. Many women subconsciously avoid the face because they are afraid of rejection. They worry, what if he pulls away? What if he thinks I'm being too clingy? Because the face is so personal, a rejection there feels personal. If he brushes your hand off his arm, it's annoying. If he pulls his head away from your hand, it feels like a heartbreak. But I want you to reframe this fear, that hesitation you feel, that little flutter in your stomach when you think about cupping his cheek. That is not fear. That is the energy of reverence. You are hesitating because you know deep down that this is a sacred space. You know that by touching his face, you are crossing a line from casual to intimate. And here is the secret. He is just as scared as you are. He is scared to be seen without the mask. He is afraid that if he lets you see the exhaustion in his eyes or the softness in his expression, you might think less of him. He is afraid that if he leans into your hand, he will look weak. This is the standoff that happens in so many relationships. You are afraid to reach out. He is afraid to let you in. So you lie side by side, miles apart. Someone has to be the brave one. Someone has to bridge that gap. And because you are the one watching this, because you are the one doing the work to understand the psychology of desire, that brave person is going to be you. You are going to be the one who initiates the vulnerability. The face is the gateway. If you can claim his face, you claim his attention. You cannot be on your phone while someone is holding your face. You cannot be thinking about work while someone is tracing your jawline. Touching the face forces presence. It is an immediate, non-negotiable demand for connection. But just like the chest, you cannot just grab at him. You cannot be rough. You are handling a loaded weapon. You must be careful. You must treat his face like it is made of something precious and breakable. So how do we do it? How do we touch the face in a way that feels masculine for him, but deeply feminine for you? How do we touch him so that he doesn't pull away, but instead leans in like a flower turning toward the sun? We use a technique, the cradle method. Let's get into the mechanics of this. I want you to feel this in your own hands as I describe it. We have already anchored the chest. He is calm. Now you are going to move one of your hands or both. If you are feeling bold upwards, step one, the landing strip. Do not go straight for the eyes or the mouth. That is too intense, too fast. We want to start on the periphery. The safest, most masculine part of a man's face is the jawline. This is the structural boundary of his face. I want you to bring your hand up and gently cup the side of his jaw. Imagine you are holding a very heavy, precious stone. You aren't gripping it. You are cradling it. Your thumb should be resting on his cheek, and your finger should wrap around the curve of his jawbone, perhaps even grazing the sensitive skin of his neck just behind the ear. Step 2, the temperature check. Just like with the chest, the quality of your touch matters. The skin on the face is much more sensitive than the skin on the chest. It is packed with sensory receptors. Use the softest part of your hand, the pads of your fingers, and the fleshy part of your palm. When you make contact, imagine you are trying to memorize the texture of his skin. Is it rough with stubble? Is it smooth? Is it warm? If he has a beard, don't just pat the hair. Sink your fingers slightly into the beard so you can feel the warmth of the skin underneath. Men with beards often crave touch there because the hair acts as a barrier to daily stimulation. Breaking through that barrier feels incredibly satisfying to them. Step 3, the thumb massage. Here is a secret anatomical trick that works on almost every man. Muscle at the back of the jaw called the masseter. It's the hinge muscle. It's the muscle we use to chew, but it is also the muscle we use to suppress emotion. When a man is angry but can't show it, he clenches his jaw. When he is stressed, he grinds his teeth. This muscle is often a knot of chronic tension. He carries the weight of his unsaid words right there on that hinge. With your hand cradling his jaw, I want you to use your thumb. Very gently start to make small, slow circles right over that hinge muscle. Do not dig. We are not doing deep tissue therapy here. We are doing sensory seduction. Just rub that spot with a slow, rhythmic motion. What you are doing is physically releasing the tension of his stoic mask. You are massaging the anger and the stress out of his face. You might feel his jaw physically drop open slightly. That is the goal. When the jaw releases, the rest of the body follows. It is a physiological trigger for total surrender. Step 4, the trace. Now stop the circles. We are going to move from releasing tension to worshipping the form. I want you to slowly, glacially slowly trace the line of his jaw with your thumb. Start at the ear and drag your thumb down towards his chin. Imagine you are an artist painting a line, or imagine you are tracing a line in the sand. Why the jawline? Psychologically, the jawline is a symbol of his masculinity. It is the part of him that looks strong. When you trace it, you are admiring his strength. You are validating his maleness. Men do not get complimented on their beauty often. They don't get told they have beautiful features. But when you trace his bone structure with this level of reverence, you are telling him, I admire the way you are built. It makes him feel handsome. It makes him feel strong. But because your touch is soft, it creates a delicious contrast. His hard bone structure veers, your soft fingertips. That contrast is the essence of polarity. It makes him feel more like a man, which makes you feel more like a woman. Step 5, the cradle. If the moment feels right, bring your other hand up, cup his face with both hands. This is the cradle. You are effectively holding his head in your hands. This is a very dominant yet very nurturing move. You are physically supporting the weight of his head. Think about how heavy the head is. It holds the brain, it holds all the thoughts, all the worries, all the calculations. When you hold his head, you are saying, I've got you, you can rest your mind. This gesture is often seen in movies during the deepest moments of romantic confession. Why? Because it frames him. It blocks out the rest of the world. When your hands are on both sides of his face, he literally cannot look at anything else. You have created a tunnel, and you are the light at the end of it. You have removed his peripheral vision. He can't see the messy room. He can't see his phone. He can only see you. This leads us to the most explosive part of this interaction. You have his face. You have his attention. Now, you must capture his soul. We have to talk about the eyes, because touching his face is only half the equation. The cradle is the vessel, but the eye contact is the lightning that strikes it, the eye contact amplifier. We need to talk about the power of being seen. In our digital world, true eye contact is becoming an endangered species. We look at screens, we look at our own reflections, we look past people. Even in relationships, we often talk to each other while looking at the dishwasher or the television. But when you have a man's face cradled in your hands, you have set the stage for something rare. You have the opportunity to execute the eye contact amplifier. This is what turns a nice moment into a memory that will haunt him for days. Here is what I want you to do. Your hands are on his jaw. His guard is down. His physical tension is gone. I want you to look at him. But I don't mean just looking at his face. I want you to look into him. There is a difference between a scanning look and a soul gaze. A scanning look moves around. You look at his nose, then his left eye, then his mouth, then his hair. This is how we look at objects. It's analytical. A soul gaze is still. I want you to pick one of his eyes, usually the left eye, which is connected to the right brain, the emotional brain, and I want you to lock onto it. Soften your own gaze. Relax your eyelids. Do not stare like a predator. Gaze like a lover. And just breathe. In this moment, silence is your best friend. Do not ruin this with. Do not say, do you like this? Do not ask, what are you thinking? Just look. Why is this so powerful psychologically? Being truly seen is the deepest human need. But for men, it is also a challenge. When you lock eyes with him while holding his face, you are asserting a very specific kind of feminine dominance. You are not shrinking. You are not looking away. You are showing him that you are strong enough to handle his full attention. Many women unknowingly look away first. They get nervous under the intensity of a man's gaze, so they giggle and look down, or they bury their face in his chest. While that can be cute, it is submissive. It breaks the tension. I want you to hold the tension. When you refuse to look away, you create a feedback loop of desire. He sees you looking at him with adoration and confidence. That makes him feel desirable, which makes him desire you more, which makes your gaze even more intense. It builds and builds until the air in the room feels electric. This is the amplifier. The touch on the jaw is the connection, but the eyes are the current running through the wire. You might notice his breathing change again. It might get a little faster, a little shallower. You might see his pupils dilate, the black part of his eye expanding. That is a biological sign of attraction. He is literally trying to take in more of you. You might notice him trying to pull you closer. This is the pivotal moment. You have him completely present. He is not thinking about his job. He is not thinking about sports. He is entirely locked into the reality of you and him. You have successfully removed the mask. You have taken the stoic professional and turned him back into a man who simply needs a woman. But there is one more layer to this. We have covered the chest, we have covered the face, but there is a third place, a place that is darker, a place that is more primal. Right now, he feels safe and he feels seen. That is beautiful, but we don't just want him to feel safe. We want him to feel desire. We want to wake up the animal that sleeps in the basement of his brain. We need to trigger his biological drive to claim you. There is a switch on the back of his body that does exactly this. It is a spot that connects his brain to his spine, his logic to his instinct. Most women only touch this spot by accident, but if you touch it with intention, you can change the entire energy of the night from romantic to passionate in a single second. It's time to leave the front of his body and move to the back. Place phase 3, the primal switch, the mammalian connection. We have covered the heart where he holds his shield. We have covered the face where he wears his mask. Now we are going into the dark. We're going to talk about the part of him that he cannot see, the part of him that is wired directly into his animal brain, the nape of the neck. I want you to think about biology for a moment. Think about the animal kingdom. When a mother cat carries her kitten, where does she grab him? The scruff of the neck. When a lioness initiates mating with a lion, what does she often do? She nips or paws at the back of his neck. When two wolves are fighting for dominance, what is the target? The throat and the back of the neck. This area, specifically the spot where the hairline ends and the neck muscles meet the shoulders, is the most primal zone on the male body. It is a biological override switch. Why? Because it is the bridge between his brain and his body. It is where the spinal cord enters the skull. It is the literal highway for every nerve ending in his system. But psychologically, it represents something even deeper, total vulnerability. Unlike his chest or his face, he cannot see you when you touch him here. He cannot monitor your hand. He cannot predict your movement. To let someone touch the back of your neck is the ultimate act of trust. It is biologically risky. In the wild, if something touches the back of your neck, it is usually a predator. It triggers an immediate sharp spike of adrenaline. And this is the key to desire, when that touch comes from you, and when that touch is loving rather than aggressive, that spike of adrenaline doesn't turn into fear. It turns into excitement. It wakes him up. Have you ever noticed that when you lightly scratch the back of his neck while he is driving, or while he is sitting at his desk, he almost instantly goes quiet? He might tilt his head back. His eyes might close. That is the mammalian surrender response. He isn't just relaxing. He is submitting to your energy. Most women completely ignore this area. They treat the back of the neck as a transition zone, just a place you move past to get to the shoulders or the back. This is a mistake. The nape of the neck is not a transition zone. It is a destination. It is one of the few places on his body where you can trigger a physical reaction known as frisson, that sudden shiver that runs down the spine and makes the hair on his arms stand up. That shiver is not just a sensation. It is a release of dopamine. If the chest was about safety, and the face was about intimacy, the neck is about ownership. It is about taking control of his nervous system. When you touch him here, you are tapping into a line of communication that bypasses his logical thoughts entirely. You aren't asking him to think, you are asking him to feel. And because this area is so charged with instinct, you have to touch it differently than the other two spots. The heart ankle was still. The face cradle was soft. The neck requires something else. It requires a little bit of friction. It requires a little bit of claw. We are going to learn a technique that combines the feeling of a massage with the feeling of a claim. It is called the rake and hold. This is the move that takes him from sweet and tender to physically awake in about 3 seconds. The rake and hold technique. Let's get your hands ready. This technique is a little more active. It is designed to stimulate the nerve endings that sit right at the base of his skull, the occipital ridge. These nerves are often compressed because of how we live. We look down at phones, we stare at screens. Men carry an immense amount of physical tension right where the skull meets the neck. It is a knot of stagnant energy. We are going to break that knot up and we are going to replace it with pleasure. Step 1, the entry. I want you to imagine your fingers are a rake. Curve them slightly. You are not going to use your palms this time. You are going to use your fingertips and your nails. Start at the base of his neck, right where the trapezius muscles slope up. Press your fingertips firmly into the muscle. Not so hard that it hurts, but hard enough that he feels the bite. Now, slowly drag your fingers upwards. Drag them up the neck, over the skin, and cross the hairline. Keep going. Don't stop at the hair. Go into the hair. Rake your fingers all the way up until you reach the curve of his skull. This motion does 2 things. First, the scratch of the nails on the sensitive neck skin triggers that shiver response we talked about. It wakes up the skin. Second, moving into the hair triggers a sensory memory of being groomed. In primates, grooming is the primary way of showing affection and bonding. When you run your fingers through his hair from the bottom up, you are telling his primal brain, I am taking care of you. Step 2, the grip. Once your hand is up in his hair, cupping the back of his skull, I want you to stop. This is the hold. Gently close your hand. You are grabbing a handful of hair and gripping the base of his skull. This is a position of control. Think about a rider holding the reins of a powerful horse. The rider doesn't pull hard, but there is a firmness there that says, I am guiding you. Hold his head there. You can apply a little bit of traction, gently pulling his head slightly away from his shoulders. This creates space in his vertebrae. It feels incredibly relieving for anyone who has neck tension. But beyond the physical relief, the psychological impact of you holding the back of his head is massive. It triggers a mix of submission and dominance. He is submitting to your touch, but you are also supporting him. Step 3, the pulse. While you are holding the base of his skull, use your thumb and middle finger to find the 2 little divots on either side of his spine, right at the hairline. These are pressure points. Pulse your fingers there. Squeeze. Release. Squeeze. Release. This rhythm is hypnotic. You will feel his head get heavy in your hand. This is the sign that the primal switch has been flipped. He has stopped holding his own head up. He has surrendered the weight of his thoughts to your hand. Step 4, the shudder breath. While you are doing this, pay attention to his sound. When you hit this spot correctly, the combination of the scratch up the neck and the squeeze at the base of the skull, men will often make a very specific sound. It's a low guttural groan. It is the sound of pure, unadulterated relief mixed with pleasure. It is the sound of his body saying, thank you. This is a very different energy than the chest or the face. The chest was quiet. The face was intimate. The neck is electric. This is the technique you use when you want to shift the mood. Maybe you are watching a movie and you want to signal that you are interested in being more than just friends tonight. Lean over, rake your fingers up his neck, grip his hair. He will get the message instantly. You haven't said a word. You haven't had to have an awkward conversation about being in the mood. Your hand spoke the language for you. You signaled the primal brain, and the primal brain always answers. But there is one more aspect to the neck. It isn't just for the bedroom. It isn't just for foreplay. The neck is also the place where we signal to the outside world and to him exactly who he belongs to, the signal of ownership. I want to talk about how this touch functions outside of the bedroom. We often think of public displays of affection as holding hands or a quick kiss. Those are sweet. Those are socially acceptable, but touching the back of his neck in public, that is a power move. Picture this, you are at a party or a dinner or just standing in line at the grocery store. It's loud. There are people everywhere. He is distracted. You reach up and place your hand on the nape of his neck. You lightly scratch the hairline. You let your hand rest there, warm and heavy. What happens? First, he grounds. In the middle of the chaos, he feels your anchor. It reminds him that you are there on his team. It creates a protective bubble around the two of you. But secondly, think about what this signals to everyone else in the room. The back of the neck is a vulnerable spot. We don't let strangers touch us there. We don't let casual acquaintances touch us there. By touching him there, you are broadcasting a subconscious signal to every other woman in the room. You are saying, hey, is mine. I am the only one allowed in this zone. It is a subtle, classy, but incredibly powerful territory marker. And men, they love this. Psychologically, men love the feeling of being claimed just as much as women do, though they rarely admit it. When you claim him in public with a touch on the neck, it makes him feel prized. It boosts his ego. He thinks, she is proud to be with me. She wants everyone to know we are together. It triggers his protective instinct toward you. You will notice that often when a woman touches the back of a man's neck in public, he will instinctively put his arm around her waist or pull her closer. It is a reciprocity loop. You claim him, he protects you. This is how you use the primal switch in everyday life. You don't have to be raking his hair in the grocery store, but a gentle squeeze, a warm hand resting on that vulnerable spine. That is the signal of a deep bonded partnership. It tells him that even when the world is busy, you have his back. Literally, let's review. We have built a journey. We started at the chest, the shield. We melted the armor and created safety. We moved to the face, the mask. We created intimacy and eye contact. We finished at the neck, the primal switch. We woke up the body and claimed ownership. These three places form a triangle: safety, intimacy, passion. Most relationship problems come from one of these three things being missing. Maybe you have safety, but no passion. Maybe you have passion, but no safety. Maybe you had intimacy, but no grounding. By using your hand to activate all three of these zones, you are balancing the energy of your relationship without saying a single word. You are becoming the conductor of the orchestra, but how do you put it all together? How do you flow from one to the other without it feeling like a checklist? Now, I am going to show you how to weave these three touches into a single seamless interaction that will leave him completely mesmerized. The symphony of touch, weaving the thread, we have learned the notes. Now, we must play the music. If you treat these three places like a checklist, check chest, check neck, check face, it will feel robotic. You are not a mechanic fixing a car. You are a woman loving a man. So how do you weave these three distinct energies into a single seamless interaction? How do you create a flow that feels natural? I want you to visualize a triangle: the chest, the neck, the face. Here is a sequence you can try tonight. Think of it as a choreography of connection. Start with the chest. Always start here. You cannot build intimacy on a foundation of stress. When you first lie down or when you are sitting on the couch, place your anchor on his solar plexus. Spend time here. Wait for the exhale. Wait for his shoulders to drop. You are establishing the base of the triangle safety. Once he is calm, move to the neck. Slide your hand up from his chest over his shoulder to the back of his neck. Transition from the flat palm to the rake of the fingertips. Wake him up. Squeeze the base of his skull. Let him feel that spark of electricity. You are adding the second side of the triangle. Passion. Finally, bring the energy home to the face. Let your hand glide from the back of his neck around to his jaw. Cradle him. Turn his head gently towards you. Execute the eye contact amplifier. Look at him. Let him see that the woman who offers him safety and the woman who sparks his desire are the same woman. You are closing the triangle intimacy. When you complete this circuit, you have touched every part of his psychological needs. You have comforted the boy who needs safety. You have excited the animal who needs passion. And you have connected with the man who needs love. You don't have to do this in order every time. Trust your intuition. If he seems sad, stay on the chest. If he seems distant or bored, go to the neck. If he seems lonely, go to the face. You have the tools. Now, you just need to listen to the room. The final permission, I want to leave you with one final thought. You might be watching this video and thinking, what if I do it wrong? What if my hands shake? What if he thinks it's weird? Let me tell you something about the man who loves you. He is not looking for a technician. He is not judging your performance. He is not waiting for you to be perfect. He is just waiting for you to reach out. We live in a world that is so disconnected. We are all starving for touch. We are all starving to be held, to be seen, to be claimed. Your hands are the conduits of your heart. When you touch him with intention, whether it's on his chest, his neck, or his face, you are transferring your energy into him. You are giving him a gift that money cannot buy. So do not overthink it. Tonight, when the lights are low, be brave. Be the anchor. Be the siren. Be the sanctuary. Close the distance between you. Put your hand on his chest. Feel his heart beat under your palm and realize that you have the power to calm the storm inside him. You have the keys. Now go unlock him. If you found value in this video, please like and subscribe. We are building a community of women who are reclaiming the art of intimacy, and I would love for you to be a part of it. And tell me in the comments, which of the three places are you going to try first? The shield, the switch, or the mask? You are magnetic. You are powerful. Go own the moment.